Hey everybody, welcome to another Hasty Terrain Maker video with Bruce Netto. What I'm going to be doing today is working on some bases for trees that are done and being able to display. So I've got a tree here that's completely done and it has no place to go unless you want to paint the base up a little bit more and do a little more work individually and then set it down. My goal is going to be to show you how to make a base for your tree. I haven't really finished this one, I just got it going. And to make a base for your tree, how to flock over it and add some shrubs and tie these trees in. So the first thing I'm going to suggest that you need, one, is you're going to need some foam. I've got a little bit of stuff on there from another project. Make sure your foam's the size you're going to want for the tree that you're doing. I've got a large tree, so I'm going to work with a large piece of foam. I'm going to use an old steak knife that I have. I'm going to be using PVA glue, just some dollar store stuff. I'm going to be using brown paint. Again, just a dollar store brand. Paint brushes, obviously I don't have mine right in view. They're all over here in a jar with some water. And you're going to need your flock. I've got some coarse shrub right here, coarse turf, some blended turf, and I'm going to be using my burnt grass. So I'm going to do it a bit different than other people do once I get down to the flocking part. And one of those differences is I see a lot of people using the PVA glue right down on top of the base and then spreading it out and adding down their highlights underneath and then going over with their top blend and then adding on from there, kind of similar. This didn't stick on too tight, but similar to something like that where you can see some underneath. I just quickly flocked it off so I could give an example. I didn't want it on too heavy, thought it would stick on to the bottom a bit better, and why I don't use glue 100%. What I do like to do is I like to take a good coating of my paint, go over on the top, and then add a little bit of my PVA water solution mix. And then I find it actually absorbs and keeps anything I want on when I'm turning it over to do a little flip. So, alright guys, let's get going. First thing I'm going to do is, one more thing. If you're going to be doing what I'm about to do in the home, make sure you got your vacuum cleaner handy, and hopefully none of your pets are going to get in, because, yeah, I'm probably going to get into some big trouble with my wife right now. So what I'm going to do, this is an old piece I was using for some paint. So, and I'll end up covering this bottom over eventually with some household paint. See how I have it broken? Might not get it as good, but there we go, that's better. How it's broken on some sides and then straight. Well, I'm going to just bring this down a little bit more here on my home base. I'm going to take my knife and I'm actually going to come in and make this coming down for this one here and cutting in and making a bit of a grass and hill, short little knolly roll look. So I'm coming down, I'm gonna kind of hard doing this backwards. Break off my pieces, and you're starting to see the foam already. This is why I said your wife might kill you. So as you see, I'm kind of coming down here. One of the items I mentioned that you're going to need, and I totally forgot, and why you're going to be in possible big trouble with the wife even more, is my little scrub here for sanding down. So I'm going to kind of leave some of this here. I kind of like some of this, so I'm going to actually get this off now. I'm going to come in and make this look like a little bit of an overhang with rock and blend it back in. And I like to actually try to bring it down for the sole reason that it kind of blends a little more into your board the better. So I'll just throw some of this out of the way. Come in again. You don't have to go just along the edge. I'm going to come in deeper and give these a bit of a more of a texture to it. See how I'm coming in a little bit further along in here than I am just on the edges. And that's because what I want here is I want it to look a little more realistic and not just, oh, there's 4 corners and coming down. Give it a little stuff going in. Like I'm even going to come in a little bit in here and bring it down a bit, and then when I sand it, it will smooth out. And this is why I said your wife's going to kill you and get a vacuum cleaner, or husband, depending. Don't want to discriminate here, ladies who are into making terrain feature. I'm going to keep this side the way I had it. I'm going to kind of just go and make a little more of a hill. We're going to come around, make sure I got all what I want cut off. Take my pieces right here. I did have a garbage bag lying around here. Hold on, guys. Come back with my nice little bag to put my scraps in. I'm going to push my chair back a little bit. Usually I turn around and sit off on the side when I do this, but I'm going to try to not get this as, sorry guys for the glare, I'm going to have to try to work on some phone angles, but I just come in lightly, give it a, I like to use this, it doesn't really eat into it, I just want to smooth this lightly to get rid of the bubbles and kind of blend this into the scenery. I'll give it some blows. What I'm going to do is an angle here where it's kind of coming up more here. And if you can actually see, I'm going to try to bring this down more onto the bottom and tie it in. So I'm going to just sit down onto a table base. It looks a little more realistic into the feature, I find. So I'm just going to quickly come around, clean off this corner down here, smooth it down. So I could go much quicker when I'm not trying to video this. And in this area where I left a little kind of, you know, not bringing it slope down, I'm just going to give it a little go over because I want to keep some of that roughness to it. And I'm going to actually, right on this corner as I'm coming around, you can see how I'm going to actually come in and slope it, because I want to make it look like it's broken off and not rounded on the corners. Don't be afraid to come in on these sides and smooth them down, tie them more into your scene. If you don't do this, a lot of times you see a lot of the bubbles from the packing foam sticking out, and kind of really doesn't give much to a realistic scene. Again, I'm going to be going over here as some rock face. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a look. I want some of those bubbles showing. I want to make them kind of look like rock, and then I'm going to come here and come around. Okay, so I'm just going to try to blow this off myself. And as you can see, I got some rockier edge on here, going around to a smoother transition onto the base. This is a good area where I can see I'd like to have this coming in a little more into the scene. So I'm just going to go a little down and kind of roll this. Cut off the bubbles. Let's see how this is a little more right, and actually I'm going down in here I want to just give it a few divoting features. So I'm going to go and clean up my desk and my floor really quick, and then I'll be back, guys. So, alright guys, I'm back after cleaning up my desk. I've got my styrofoam nicely, for the most part, smoothed down. Just going to get a few pieces I missed. So what I usually do around here is, now I'm going to actually grab my cardboard. Give me a few seconds. So I usually take a piece of, whether big, small, cardboard. My other big one is, don't mind my kid's mess, right over here with some trees and some other stuff on it. So what I'm going to go now do here is I'm going to get my paintbrush, and I've got my coffee cup over my good piece of paper I like to use to get my water off on. So I'm going to have to find another spot for my coffee. This is where I'm going to take my paint right here. Actually, where did my little paint container go? So I'm going to go get my paint container, put some into the side. What I want to do right this moment right here is I'm going to come over on my edges and sides. And I do have a bottle of a brown umber that I keep that's kind of watered down, that I come back over and get into the grooves and cracks where it doesn't like to go down. Kind of like when you're doing a rock face, you know, you want to get some of your, I think, break it down to about 1/16 part of a yellow, 1/16 of a brown, and I usually do a 1/32 breakdown of black, and that way the black actually goes right in there and gets a lot of these holes, sinks in, and you don't get all these little white bubbled parts out. So what I'm trying to do here, sorry guys, let's do this. I'm going to just end up coming underneath here, trying to get in all the little parts. Like I said, I'll come back again with some watered down brown and get it in. Actually, I don't even think the watered down brown I have is the umber. I think it's a cinnamon brown that I did up last time. I was out of brown umber at the time, I believe. And I was using cinnamon brown on a project and wanted the umber to be my contrast. Okay, yeah, so basically I'm just showing you, go around the sides, get these a little, flip over your board, go underneath. Yeah, see, like some of these corners I wasn't getting in here. The reason I said I wasn't worried about the bottom is I'm going to be pushing down, getting this thing wet. I'll go around the corners, trying to get stuff off my brush, and then eventually, before painting it, I will go over it one more time on the bottom and let it sit and dry for a bit. So I'll be back after I do the next, with these sides done, and you can see where I'm going. Okay, so I've got all my sides here completely done. So what I did is I went down on the bottom before I start doing my top, and I just put down a bunch of paint. And my little technique, because I'm hasty and want to go quick, is I just quickly start going on the bottom, making circles, trying to fill up the coloring. Usually it's just white, and I will use a household paint, doing it like this, kind of just throw a slab on and then go all the way over it. But since I've used this one for doing other projects, I'm just going to come across here and make sure I'm nice and good in all my corners. I'm not too concerned if I have some white on the bottom, as no one's more than likely, minus me, going to be looking at this. If you're going to be selling it as a piece to someone, I suggest doing a top-notch job and covering any pieces you're using that aren't nice quality on the eye. starting, like I never saw one of these done without the looking like this with the bottom. If it was just pure white, I probably would knock a few dollars off, or whatever denomination, quids, pounds for you Europeans over in the UK, and marks or euros, I guess, now for everyone else. Let's see, I'm just going to get any of the excess I have off. Help it smooth it out. And there, I've got my bottom done. I'm not going to be starting my top. I'm going to wait about half an hour or so and let the bottom of this dry off so I can start working with it again. The reason I'm not doing my top right now, and let's angle this camera off so you can see me talking. Alright guys, sorry about that little jumble jamble with the camera. Hopefully the edit comes out well. I was saying the reason I don't do the top here right away, like I'm doing the bottom, is I want the bottom to dry for its look. So the sides, I'll come back over and do a little touch up with a, as I was saying, with a brown that's watered down and able to go in. The reason I'm not going to go over this top part yet is I want this to be used for when I'm flocking. So basically I'm going to be using the paint, like I said at the beginning, and some PVA watered down solution to go over and start with my base and then put on, or my highlight. So, and then once I get the highlight sprinkled where I want it, then I'll go over again, give it a little spray back over on top with the water, and do my base. Once I get the base done, I'm going to go in and I will start doing some more wiring. Okay, let's... Hey guys, welcome back to the tutorial on making bases. So right now I've got my base dried on the bottom. I'm not too worried about a lot of the spray for this. This is just going to be bottom. As you can see, I've got some white still showing in places on the side, as I said you would. So what I'm going to do now is take my brush and puff off my good old cigarette. Go to my paint that I've got watered down that I was talking about. I keep it in, where the heck did I just, I keep it in another bottle. As you can hear, it's shaky wet, and I don't want to get it too versely. Oh, that's what I was trying to avoid. You can see it's pretty wet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over all across the areas that I've already painted with the watered down to get it all into the grooves and cracks. And this way you don't have any of those white little bubbles showing. Again, you could go with some yellow with a black, watered down yellow, and brown, 1/16 of each to water, one paint or to 16th water for your yellow and your browns if you're going to be doing a rock base, and 1 to 32 parts of water. And the 132 parts of black water is going to be what gets in here and highlights and gets into these little grooves and cracks. Good morning, Miss Emily. Have a good day at school. Yeah, so I'm just quickly coming around here. I'm not going to let this stuff dry overnight or for a few hours. I am going to let this just seep right in here and then start going to work. Alright, so this is actually taken pretty good so far. Go back over some areas that were, no, I didn't miss too many parts here, so that's really good. Sometimes I have to go back over a part where the water is not taken because it's ran too quick. So don't be afraid to go back over some areas. this is going to look really, really good once it's done. Don't worry about these sliding off. Okay, so basically I've got that now with the little remaining bubbles taken care of. I'm probably not going to be needing that rest of that watered down brown, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just replace it back into my container because I don't want that drying off, or drying out and going to waste. Make sure I put my brush back into my water so it doesn't dry up and get extremely hard. Okay, there, so now you're left with the top of your white base. As I was saying in the first part of the video, I've seen people do this a bit different and get really nice results, but I actually had a little paint splash up onto my phone and wanted it off there before it dried. And so what I've seen people doing on here, and I think it's kind of a bit of a waste, is they take their PVA glue, go across, get it on a little thicker, not too thick from what I've seen, and then start putting down their highlights. I don't do it that way. I have tried, I just don't think it kind of comes out the way I want it. Kind of like simple, well, this doesn't look too hard, so you can start seeing some of the highlights, but I find what happens is you end up getting a bunch that just falls off, even if I let it there and try to seep in a bit. So I take my brown paint, or whatever paint I'm going to be using under the base, whether it's gray or a lighter brown. I like to come on and give it a nice little squeeze on here. Retrieve the brush I was using, and then I just kind of try to get it going over. And I want to try to work quick with this because I don't really want it drying down on me too fast. I'm not going to worry about some of these holes that are going to, or white bits that are going to be showing up around here. And the reason for that is I'm going to be flocking over it so the flock will fall down and cover in. There we go. Now I'm getting some of the thicker parts that came down and spreading it out. I'll probably end up giving it, there, let's try to smooth this out a bit more. Okay, so pretty much got my top of my base done. As you can see, it's nice and wet. So where I'm going to go from here is I'm going to go take my highlight. Oh, actually I'm lying. I'm going to first take my water PVA mix, and I just want to give it a nice little, I don't want tons on here, just want enough to kind of allow my flock to settle down. Dirty, dirty smoker, dirty, dirty smoker. So this is where I come in a little different than the other guys, and I start bringing down my highlights where I'm going to probably want them. Come around and I'm trying to make it a little patchy here. I don't want it being too patterny. I want to give it a bit of a staggered look. And this is where I'm going to come in. Actually, I should probably bring this up a bit more. You see on the sides right here, I'm going to come down and actually make that look more knolly, grassy than I am on the other sides, two other sides, because I want this to kind of look like it's some of a rolling hill down. So I'm going to do the same over here, coming around this side. perfect. I'm going to give this just a little bit of a tap to get any bunched up flock spread a little bit. And this is when I'm going to come now over with my fine turf as my base. Holy cow, my cigarette keeps on going out. The one good thing about those are you never worry about them falling down and causing a fire. But you guys don't care about my little dirty smoking habit. Unless you've got a dirty little smoking habit yourself. Okay, so I'm going to come over here now. And one of the reasons I do like the brown over the white PVA as well is if you do have some of it coming off on you, it kind of gives it looking like a little bit of an bare earth underneath. Here, I'm going to go quickly over. Okay, there we go. Let's get this on nice and gloppy. Want to just let it give enough time here that it's going to get into the top, but not too much, because I do want to shake some of this off so you can see the highlights underneath that I've been adding to it instead of wasting your flock in time. This is where I'll actually usually come back over with other highlights once I get it to a point where I want it. I think I've got as much flock on as I need. And when I flip it over to get excess flock off, you'll see where you need to go back with your either base or if you want to add more highlight, which I usually don't go back over much with more base. I usually just like to go highlighting over the areas that have got skimped. So just me, you can actually go with any technique that you want to use, whether you want to go 1 or 2 highlights underneath, or if you want to go with just 2. The Train Tutor Mel boss, he actually has a good video on his channel, and hopefully I can link it. I should message him and ask him if he minds me linking his video into mine, because yeah, I don't want him thinking I'm stealing his stuff without asking. I did have a piece of paper here I want to use when I dump for collecting, so I can re-add it back to my flock again. So what I'm going to, as you can see, probably see a whole bunch coming off. And you can start seeing some of your highlights underneath. So when it dries, it's actually going to pop out a bit more. Let me just move this out of the way so I can get my collection of flock. So this can really, look how much of that has come off that I would like to not waste. You know, consumption reusability is huge. So if you can reuse some flock, whether it's making your own blend because it's a few different colors together, or keeping the original blend. Yeah, see, look at all that I'm getting off of recuperating. Yeah, so see, you don't want to waste all this stuff. This is money. You got to remember, if you're doing this outside of a hobby and you want to get into this for making a profit, you don't want to be throwing that stuff away and losing it. That's just, yeah, you're missing the point of trying to make a bit of a profit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I actually see a few areas that need to be touched up, minus my little finger. So I'm going to come back. I made my own blend, if I can find where I put it. I mixed 4 different blends that are close to one another, but a bit different to highlight out. Because if you look at grass, it's not always the same color going around. You do get contrasts from a bit darker, a bit lighter. That's just the way it goes in nature. It's not going to be consistently the same color unless it's manufactured grass. And of course, we're not at a golf course. unless you're doing a scene for a golf course. Now see, I'm just going to come around lightly over areas I think need to be touched up a bit more. I need some highlights. I don't want to ruin some of my under highlights that I got, my under based. I just want to blend this lightly in with some of the feature. So now I'm starting to get a three-tone grass, similar to having my under base, but enough contrast in there not to give it the same upper lower look. Okay, make sure I dump this back into my right one. And I'm just going to give some of my sides, before I do that, the reason, let's see, this side actually came out pretty good. I do want some of this having bareness under it, so it kind of ties in with around the base. I don't want any on this part. I do want them on the corner. And if you notice, this corner here is actually a little less what I wanted on there. So if you give me a quick second, I'm going to just turn on my other light to get some brightness on that side. And hopefully my dog doesn't decide she's going to jump on me again. And so as you can see, you're starting to lose actually this isn't the side. I want to add a little bit more into here on the side, but it's not sticking any longer. The flock is starting to really absorb the glue. Or the glue's starting to absorb the flock. So I'm just going to come right in here, just a little bit of water. Go back with the highlight mix I made. I really suggest you make some of your own mixes. Kind of gives it a bit of a different look than the same constant what everyone else is using. Too early in the morning. It's only like 7 o'clock here, and I'm still half awake, half asleep. That's what I want. Just like that around. Perfect. So the reason for doing that is, now if you look, it's nice, a little bit of bare grass in here, or bare earth, which is exactly what I wanted. To be honest, that's exactly what my goal was. As you start going down hills, you will see at times earth underneath of it, broken up grass pieces. You know, not always, but where I'm from, I do notice that quite a bit, unless it's one good piece. So I do want this staying like this on here. So pretty much, this is what I've got. You'll see some multi-tone. Let's try to see, you get some multi-tone color coming through here. You can see where my highlights have popped out, which is what you want. Same effect as you would get using the glue like Mel, the Terrain Tutor, does, or Luke from Luke Apps. I totally love their videos. I actually think they've got great, awesome technique, but sometimes I don't really like my results trying to use their technique, or going through half of these is what I would need, it seems, with the type of glue I work with, because otherwise, like I said, what I get is these patches. And I actually, if you watch the Train Tutor and Luke Apps' video on doing this, I probably put just as much glue as they did with the PVA on that one. These are old ones I was trying to do about a year back off of the Train Tutor's video before I tried doing my own, and I just hated how I was looking, and found I was just spraying down my board a bit more, not a bit more, quite a bit more, my surface, trying to add on to it, and wasting flock. Honestly, I'm trying to think here. I believe it was Mel from the Train Tutor who did suggest using some paint, of your paint underneath, to hold the flock down and in. And I also seen it on a Woodland Scenics tutorial for trained models, doing it for trained models. So right now I've got your typical base. You can leave it like this at this. I don't like this. So, well, not that I don't like this, I'm happy with this. But what I would like to do is start adding some more feature to kind of texturize it up, you know, a little coarse turf, 2 different blends of coarse turf on there. I personally will probably be going with a light green. And where did I put my other one? That's bush. Well, I have a, oh, and a dark green coarse turf. You can get these ones for $15 for this type of container. That's 15 Canadian. At most of your hobby places that are for Wargaming, Warhammer. I go to PM Hobby for this. It's also a terrain, well, does more than that, but a lot of the people that buy this is terrain makers for trains. Terrain makers for trains. So let's get going. First, before I go, I want to seal. I don't want to get too far back. I'm going to give this a little bit of spray on the side. I don't want to go too far. I want to get a little bit farther back so I can get this coated on here without disturbing my grass. So there we go. And there goes my phone. Not good. Make sure none of my stuff got on it, because this is my company phone, not my own personal. So let's get my smoke going again. Let's clean up some of the mess. Close up anything you're not going to be using again. I won't be using my blend, more than likely. I won't be using my base again color, so I'll get that out of the way. I will come over with a lighter flock once I get some of my bushes on, and the reason for that is I want to just try to give those a little more texture, so it's not like, if you look at this, you see how it's just kind of one color going in there. I want to give it kind of, yeah, you don't see just one color of bush, you see shades, you see a little more in there. So yeah, what we're going to do is I've got this flock down and locked. It should be drying, but yeah, I'm not going to let it fully dry. And I'm going to kind of just take my glue and get ready for some bushes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because I dropped my phone and lost my angle, I'm just going to readjust that again so you guys can see what I'm doing here without having to lift up and touch too much of my flock. Is I put some thick glue down, and the reason I'm doing this is I want to go and take my lichen, I've heard it called a few different, I like to call it lichen. It's what I've heard it called on other channels, and closer to the name that I would try to pronounce it as. I'm going to go with another color of lichen. Once again, you're never going to see bushes the same, just one color. They always are multicolored. The sun affects them, the lack of sun affects them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just rip some of this up, mix the colors around here a bit, and just kind of float it on here. Sometimes if I can, I like to try to take the 2 colors and tease them around into each other, so you get that 2-tone multi-look. So I'm going to kind of, bushes are usually sporadically around, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a sporadic look here. I'm going to add in some of my other, hold on here guys, I'm running out of my shrub from working on trees. I actually think I ran out near ran out when I was making this tree right here. They take a lot of material. I also ran out of a polyfiber when I was doing this. And I'm going to just try to take some of my dark bush. And what I like to try to do, I'm almost out of this too, is I try to use this stuff. I'll try to pick some up. I just got little pieces left. It's really dark compared to the other stuff. And I like to kind of just get little pieces and slide them under, a little under the bush that I'm working on, clump foliage. And the reason I like to go under is to try to give a appearance of, if you go under, see in nature, you're never going to really, you'll see bushes underneath that are a lot darker, where the sun's not reaching at them. And that's actually nature. There's nothing you're going to see like do about that. That's just flat out nature. Sun gets to it, makes it bright. Doesn't get to it, doesn't make it bright. So yeah, so here we go. Getting some bush on. For those who are not experienced working with terrain, you probably won't, well, those who are probably won't be watching this video. Those who aren't, if you notice, you'll see glue on here. That glue actually dries up and goes away. The white PVA, so don't worry about that at all. At all. So I'm just going to take some more of my glue, try to avoid some of my highlighted areas, and add a little bit more brush. I'm not going to go too far into it, just because I want to get you guys just on the basics. A good idea is, I was shown in another video, I think I started at the beginning of this one, I'll have to go back and look, but I like to keep the foliage from my trees that I'm working on as it's mixing in the small little loose pieces, and I like to actually use them underneath trees or for my foliage, just because it gives, you know, you're mixing it in, you're getting different colors, and it kind of gives that more of a realistic look on the coloring. Let's try to get you guys a better look on that. Kind of gives you, you know, more of a real feel, in my opinion. I might be way off, but that's just me. So I'm going to come in here, try to get a bit more of my smaller shrub that I have, or clump foliage I have laying around, and just kind of fill in those little areas, make them a little more realistic. So I'm going to take some of my dark clump foliage again, try to come around and put it just a little pieces underneath some areas to darken it up. And my next step is, because I'm pretty much done with doing this, I've added my foliage, I'm going to grab my glue. I'm going to once again just give a light coating. I don't want to totally disturb all this. I think I got a clump clog in my grass, or my, okay, so now that I got my bushes down and I know where I'm kind of going, what I want to do now is, this is where I was talking about, I want to use my coarse turf. So, and I hate shaking it, honestly. I always find you don't get any control over the shaker. Now I forgot my spoon in another bottle. I like to go and take out spoons and use a spoon for this. And I need to go wake my kid up, so I'm going to just stop in and then come back in a second. Alright, so I've woken my kid up. We just need to get his butt out of bed now. I realized I did have another area that I put glue down that I never threw anything on, so we're just going to go here, put that down, lock it in with my gun. I'm going to just give a little more. I personally don't mind using lots of watered down PVA. I personally, again, find it helps lock in your scenery for hardcore game playing. So what I'm doing is I'm just coming over lightly here to try to give a little texturized look in between where I don't have bushes. You can do this before you put down your bushes. I personally like to do this afterwards just because. No real reason. Nor will I bullshit you on it. It's just the way I like to do it. And now I'm going to come with my lighter. And this way I'm just trying to give a little contrast to what's going on here. I'm trying to get some around the bush, but not in the bush. Yeah, because, you know, it's going to, yeah. Oh, I can hear my cat. I don't know if it wants in or out, but either way, I don't care today. Alright, I'm going to try to lightly lift this up so I don't lose a lot of my product. So we'll pull it out. See how it's starting to look like it's more texturized? This kind of looks more like something you see outside instead of just a flat, straight up groundwork. You can add as much bush as you want, as much turf as you want. This is all about building it how you want, but wanting to look realistic. Personally, I think something like this is great. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to end up coming back with one of my trees, which I have right here once it's dried, and I'm going to find a spot eventually, come down. I'll end up painting this base around before I hot glue it down, and then I'll just work, you know, around here. I hate saying this down on wet, but I'll just kind of set this down and work around here and blend it into the scenery, which I'm going to have to do once the glue is dried, so this will be something for later. I think we all know how to blend trees in. For those newbies, I will come back and do that last part as a quick little tutorial. I'm not going to bother with it on this one. It'll just be a quick little tutorial on how to blend trees that you're adding into scenery that's already built. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do before I put this away is I want to lock it down. I'm trying to keep it to a mist so I don't move everything. There. So I've locked it down. I've got a good mix of glue and water in there, so I don't need to really hammer this. It will keep it. And yeah, so this is how to build a base. As you can see, I've only got some brown around the edges, which is exactly what I wanted. So nothing more. I'm going to flip the phone around just to give you a nicer view. Alright, so this is it finished. As you can see with a better angle, I do want this showing underneath as it's trying to come down. I don't want it fully covered. I do want it bare. I want that to be part of the texturizing look to it. I want it to be able to come around and look like it is thinning out around those edges. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of different color, thickness, and texture to it. So there you guys go. If you have any questions, comments, queries, please feel free to ask. Message me on my page, The Hasty Terrain Maker, on Facebook, or come visit us at our YouTube page, which you're actually probably already on if you're watching this video. So yeah guys, I'm going to go clean up some of my mess around my desk and get ready for work. Bye.